5 years ago, Nox Crew created Minecraft Championship, a tournament full of content creators fighting to win it all. Now, at the time, I was just a young YouTuber, but I had a brilliant idea. I wasn't invited to MCC, so I made it myself. Huh? I mean, that's a pretty good title, right? I gotta give it to myself. But as time went on, I quickly realized that there was a reason Nox Crew has a team as big as they do. So unfortunately, after close to 100 hours of work, I never finished my video. But I figured if I can't get the views from actually completing the map, maybe I can just show off what I have instead. So join me as we go through a lost project of mine I call the Tournament of Champions. Alright, so here we are. We are in the world of Tournament of Champions. It is kind of funny seeing how similar this looks to the actual MCC thing. It's kind of a case of, you know, copying your homework a little bit. But yeah, this is the main lobby. So over here is where you would spawn in and you'd have your team selection. So you could, you know, press these buttons. Got some good sound design. Very nice. But let's say you pick a team by accident because, you know, you're just clicking a button and you're like, I don't want to play anymore. Boom, now you're spectating. So we'll see throughout, there's a bunch of cases where I have to think of like every scenario possible was my goal with this, and ultimately probably why it never got finished. But I try to think of as many different like things that could happen and how to prevent them, and so this is one of them. So over here we have something that's like, it's so small and it's so stupid, but I'm just like really proud of it. But it's just like a message board basically, where you can just cycle through like the different games, and it's a bit buggy. I don't know why. Oh, you know why? Okay, so I think if I remember correctly, I think I'm like constantly having to summon in these item frames because I have, yeah, I was trying to make it so that you couldn't like just punch them off. Maybe? I don't know. It could just be this world is buggy. But anyway, you click through. It also has like memories, so you see we're on like pink, red, orange, but we can go back, red, pink. But yeah, you could basically cycle through, and these were gonna be like all of the games that were gonna be in there then that you could play. So while you're waiting, you could come here and kind of, you know, read up on the games and figure out like, oh, okay, I'm gonna be really good at this one and really bad at this one. But yeah, it's something that it's like, it's so simple, but I don't know, I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. But yeah, over here we have more builds. It's kind of funny, like whenever you look back at old builds, like I look at this now and I'm like, man, like what was I doing? Like I could make this look so much better nowadays. I think like I must have just wanted to hurry up and finish this. But we got like this side of the castle, got this kind of bridge, you know, classic boat build. And something interesting about these mountains, right, is you might think that we're just in like a plains world, but the reality is we're in a void. And so I actually built these mountains by hand, block by block, and that was probably like 20 hours of this entire project. I bet was just like placing down all these blocks. I know I could have used world edit. I don't really know why I didn't, but anyway, yeah, I was stubborn. So there we go. We have this mountains, and you can tell that they're hand built, right? Because it's like any pattern that I have at the bottom kind of carries up throughout. But yeah, on this side we have a waterfall with like particle, and then you hear like the sound effect as you get closer. So this is like a really easy trick that I love doing, where it's you just have 2 command blocks and you have them on like repeating, and you have one of them that's playing a rain sound effect and then another that's doing the cloud particle, and it like really gives this effect of, you know, like the waterfall is alive, if you will. But yeah, just more of the castle. I had up here, yeah, a bunch of barrier blocks up here to make sure that nobody swam up the waterfall and then, you know, jumped out. I guess you maybe could have here, but yeah, it's kind of funny because it was like, again, I try to think of like every possible scenario where it's like, okay, how do I make sure that people don't die? You know, well, I'll give them saturation and resistance. Well, how do I make sure they don't escape and jump off the map? Okay, well, I had, you know, barrier blocks going around. So a lot of different, I guess, like little details like that it's like, it definitely slowed me down, but at the same time, like it's part of the reason why I'm so proud of this map. Also, this hot air balloon is kind of funny because it was one of those things where it's like, I made it for this map, but I figured like at the time I was like, oh, that's a video. So there you go. But yeah, I think that's basically the general main lobby. There was one little area over here where it's like, I was going to have achievements. So it was like, you know, you could get a high score in the game and then after come over here and be like, oh, you have the fastest parkour time or whatever. But okay, now we're ready to actually start the game. So once you're on a team, I think I'm on spectating. Okay, so once you're on a team, you come over here, push to start the game, make sure all players are on a team. So you push it, and then it gives you a warning, right? Now the reason why I add this warning is because I figured that you invite your friends on here and they're all just running around, you know, and everyone's just hopping and whatnot. And I figured someone's gonna push the button without reading it, right? So I added this like extra barrier so that someone doesn't just accidentally start the game and it's like, oh, wait, we're still waiting on, you know, Joe or whoever, right? So there we go. Once you're like, okay, we're good, we can go ahead and press start. And we got our soundtrack going. If you're an OG fan, you might recognize this one from another video. Originally, I made the song for this map, but I figured like, oh, that's pretty good. I bet I could turn it into a video by itself. The way this countdown works is it's a bunch of structure blocks that I just have going on like a timer that's replacing the letters or numbers. But yeah, we got like tooltips going on, we got fireworks going on. And then once we get to 10 seconds, we're gonna start to hear the piano going. That's your warning of, you know, get over here, right? And then we'll start to see the bridge form and the gate comes down and we run on in. And this is our voting hall. So this was another thing where it was like kind of a pain to build, but I'm like really happy with how it turned out, especially like these little arcs right here. Like, oh man, that's so good, right? But yeah, we got our voting hall, so we have all of the games here with like their names underneath, which kind of redundant because you have them on the map, but I think I did that in case like this one you can see it's kind of fuzzy. But yeah, you're given a crossbow and then you can shoot it and it'll spawn in a slime. And you see right now it's like rainbow colored, right? It's because it's like it could hop over, you don't know which color it's going to be. So you get this pinwheel, locks in all the votes, and it turns red. So it's saying, okay, this one is a red vote, and you'll say the winner is agility race, right? And then in theory, you would get teleported. But yeah, nothing happens. So this was basically as far as I got with the lobby. And the reason was like, this voting system by itself took forever to figure out. Like I remember having like a piece of paper and like drawing on it and trying to figure out like the logic and how to, you know, like it seems simple where it's like, yeah, just count the votes. And if red is greater than orange, like that's it. But I'm not that good at commands. And so it's like something like this where it's like, what do you do if a slime is right on this edge, you know? And so, you know, what do you do in the case of a tie or whatnot? So it's like all these things that it's like you might not think of, but they're gonna, you know, be problems that you have to solve. And so it was kind of interesting, but yeah, I don't know if I ever got around to actually finishing the voting system. I think that just testing purposes, I always set it to be red as the winner. And the voting soundtrack too that you heard, that was also another song that was custom made. So it's like, you know, you have the custom songs, the custom artwork, like the handmade, you know, made with love builds and mountains that I didn't really need to do. All this stuff like slowed me down, but I had a lot of pride and I was really proud of this project. So it was for those reasons that I did that stuff. But yeah, obviously it slowed me down, and it was a big reason why I never got around to actually finishing it. But yeah, now we can go ahead and take a look at one of the games, Cooking Chaos. So here we are. This is the map for it. These trees, just copy and paste using commands. I'm very like vanilla. Like I like using vanilla commands. I don't really like using mods and whatnot. I don't know, you can call me old-fashioned or whatnot, but I just like using vanilla commands. But yeah, this was the game. Basically it was like everyone had their kitchen, and then you'd have to go run into the village. There'd be, you know, farms and whatnot, and so maybe like every 10 seconds a potato would spawn. So you'd have to run, get the potato, run back, use the potato to like cook something and then whatnot, right? Going back to making sure that it's like, I guess like not like anti-cheat, but like making sure that people are following the rules, so to say. Like if you try to, I'm on orange team, so if I try to go in the yellow team, like I'll die. But okay, the interesting part, right, is these villagers. So the way that these work is there's all these blocks here, right? These, I think is, okay, magenta glazed terracotta, right? And they have these arrows underneath them. So what it's doing is it's testing and it's saying, okay, villager is on top of this block and if it's on top of that block, teleport it, to the right. And then it would test it again, and it would say, oh, okay, well, teleport to the right. And it would keep doing that. And it's kind of interesting because it's like you would think that it would look stupid, but the walking animation actually plays. And so it doesn't look that bad. But what's funny is that if you walk in front of them, then they kill you. And there's even like a particle effect that happens, I think. And there's, the text and chat, of course, too. Yeah, there you go. It's so stupid, but it's like, I'm really happy with it. I think that it's hilarious, and hopefully someone sees this and is like, oh, I gotta make a game out of that, because I would love to see that. So these are the commands for the villagers. I imagine you might have to tweak them just a little bit. I'm actually in an older version right now. I'm in 1.19. And the reason for that is just because they changed data packs. So unfortunately, a lot of the stuff in the lobby kind of broke after this latest update, but it's okay. This is basically the gist of it. Yeah. Okay, so you see this guy? He's kind of floating. So this is one of the problems where if you spawn the villager and it wasn't on the ground, then it would just do this, which I don't know. Honestly, for the sake of the game, I might have just left it because it's hilarious. Like, imagine you're running, right, and then out of nowhere, like, you see the villager, coming at you full speed. Yeah, and this was another thing. So they could get off their tracks, right? You can see some of them, like they might not be like perfectly centered on their blocks because they can still move, right? Like they still have their AI, and so occasionally they can bump into things or get off track. But if we like bump these guys back onto the track, yeah, there he goes. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, that's how those guys worked. But yeah, that was basically the extent of this game and how far we got here. It wasn't too much, but it still was pretty cool. The villager idea was really funny. Yeah, I might return to this, make it like a standalone game at some point, because I don't know, I feel like this villager mechanic is just too funny to not use, and I have them like disappearing and then reappearing, and it's like consistent too. So you see like 2 go in, and then 2 will come out right there. So, and then you have the 3, So it's like, again, so many small details like that where it's like, I did not have to add it in, but I did, and it slowed me down, but whatever, who cares? Okay, so the last game that I got like any other progress on was going to be the boat race. And again, it's like, why did I make, like, look how big this is. Like, I'm one person. I can barely even render in the full map. But it's like, I was ambitious, right? I was ambitious. I really wanted this to be something good. But this was going to be like an ice boat challenge thing. And I had this really cool idea where you would have the ice boat thing, but then the parkour map was going to be like integrated into the map. So maybe like you do the ice boat game, but then like 2 games later you come back and you're doing the parkour and you're like, no way, like it's the ice boat thing. So just like little things like that I thought were kind of cool. But it's like, yeah, look how big this is. Could you imagine this? Like, this is a whole mini game within a mini game that I had like, what, 8 other things or like 7 other games that I wanted to make, and I built this and I was like, yeah, that seems reasonable, I can do this. So it's really no wonder, like at the time I was like, man, like what a shame, I'll never get to finish this. But looking back on it, it's like, yeah, dude, like, no, really, of course. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about is just the resetting process, because you go through, you play a game, but what happens when you want to play again, right? You have everyone on a team, you have like this timer, you have, like this raised up once you voted for it, you have, you have to reset all the voting, you have to reset all the mini games. And so that was kind of a big process to figure out like what needs to be reset. And I remember it was like some crazy list of commands that basically I just put into a data pack, and it's just one command. So you hit the button and we're reset. So yeah, anyways, that is about it for this map. I think the only other thing would just be like this, which is like commands that I had, which again, it was like I started using commands, but then I think I switched to data packs afterwards, because I realized that commands just weren't as good as data packs. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are like, oh, you should finish it, like go back and finish it. But it's like, the reality is, how do I get to it? Like, time played, basically 4 days, right? I've been recording for like 20 minutes, so okay, fine. But that's like basically close to 100 hours, and it's like, I got the lobby done, I got the lobby done and villagers that walk around and kill you. I think that if I was going to return to this, like, I'd have to simplify a lot of things and I probably wouldn't be happy with the result. So I think it's just one of those cases where you have to make peace with it. And, you know, as sad as it is, I think it's probably for the best that I move on and create some other projects. I know this was kind of a big ramble, but thanks for listening. If you have any questions about this, let me know, and I guess I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.